as we continue to look for Nigerians that would lead us in fairness, equity, and justice, it's important that I play you some sound bites of the kind of leadership we will continue to have as long as we keep defending the Fe Babalolas of Nigeria's judiciary. That judiciary is going to keep corruptly forcing the following kind of leaders on us. Just watch, then I'll conclude.
Go ahead.
911 billion.
Yes, sir.
911 billion.
Yes, sir.
844 million.
Yes, sir.
833 naira.
Yes, sir.
And 46.
46 what, sir?
I'll take that again.
Yes, sir. Take it back.
1 billion.
1 billion.
911.
911.
1 trillion.
1 trillion?
911 billion.
Okay.
844 billion.
Yes, sir.
1 trillion.
Trillion, sir. Again.
This money is too much for me.
It's not too much. Take it again, sir.
1 trillion.
1 trillion.
I hope that is not. I hope that is not on the record.
It's not on the record. Just take it.
1 trillion.
1 trillion.
911 billion. 841 trillion.
This is the Nigerian Senate president. Just imagine a country like Nigeria with so many intelligent people, so many industrious young men and women. This is what they have as a Senate president.
Now, let me clarify one thing. It's not a question of who they have as the Senate president. Much as I don't like Akpabio, he's a very corrupt person. I also know that I observed him as governor of Akwa Ibom. He's not a dumb person. There's not necessarily something wrong with being challenged to break down that big number from trillions to billions to millions to thousands and hundreds. That's not the issue. The issue is that in Nigeria, we elect people to positions without competition. We just put them in there, corruptly put them in there. What comes with corrupt enforcement of leadership on people is that you also have people in leadership who don't take time to prepare for the work they do. Be it in America, in Britain, in France, in Russia, in China, or wherever. The person sitting as the president of the Senate may not readily know how to break down those numbers, but they have staff that take it seriously enough to put on their schedule before that presentation to listen to him and prepare him to be sure he's ready to go out to Nigerians. But when there is corruption in the process, they don't care about the job. And that's what we have from Asha Rock to governors and all the way down. I'll bring you the governor of Edo State in a similar situation. That's why we all have to fight corruption.
The Edo State 2025 appropriation bill of 605 billion 76 million 76. Let me take it again. 506 billion 605 billion, sorry, 7 176 billion. Sorry, it's confusing me. Okay, since
Order in the house, please. Mr. Speaker must be held in silence, please.
605 billion, and details of the budget proposal for your consideration and approval. Thank you for your kind consideration.
When you have a judicial system that declared Bola Ahmed Tinubu president, even though he did not win his own state, let alone the rest of the states in Nigeria, what do we expect? And when we talk, the idiots in leadership in Nigeria and their noisemakers will accuse us of demarketing Nigeria. How do you demarket a product that has no market? Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And as usual, I like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world. For those who do not know the background of what's going on with Dele Farotimi and the forces and powers that be in Nigeria, here is a little background. In his book, Dele Farotimi eloquently juxtaposes two positions. On one hand, he talks about how deeply engraved corruption is in the Nigerian society. But on the other hand, he talks about how deeply intertwined much of the Nigerian elite is involved in that corrupt process. He provided a very detailed account of how the Supreme Court in Nigeria is deeply involved with a few senior advocates of Nigeria in manipulating laws. He shed light on the hypocrisy of the policy of double standards in Nigeria and exceptionalism, advocating for a Nigeria where everything is done based on merit, equity, fairness, and justice. And the poster child of that elite corruption when it comes to Nigeria's judiciary happens to be the man they say is the most powerful man in Ekiti State, who is Fe Babalola. Folks, it doesn't matter what position you're taking on this. This case is going to be a very long journey for everybody involved, for Fe Babalola, for Dele Farotimi, and for Nigerians who are desperately watching where this is going to lead. The reality is that this case has split Nigeria into two. On one hand, you could call them the conservative. I just want to call them the older elite who have benefited directly or indirectly from this corruption. They all lined up defending Fe Babalola. But on the other side, you have the progressive younger population of Nigerians, but not just the younger ones, but progressives like myself. I'm not young. And some even older than me, who see this as an opportunity to tear down the house and start all over to build something that can build trust, equity, and fairness into Nigeria's system. it doesn't matter how you look at this thing. It's like what Igbos call a tutotorawo. The boil, the pimple on a frog. If you cut it, the frog is done. If you don't cut it, the frog is done. This is what we are dealing with. It's not a matter of respecting Fe Babalola and his 63 years of service to Nigeria. But remember one thing, many of Nigeria's elite, Yorubas, Igbos, Fulanis, Hausas, Edo, many of the elite on the surface and publicized have given good service to their communities and to Nigeria at large. But the question is, it doesn't absolve them from whatever corruption they've been involved in. And it's time to face the reality of what we're trying to do in Nigeria. Are we trying to build a fair society that is just to everybody? Or do we want to continue to worship a grossly corrupt elite that has completely controlled all the resources in Nigeria, and in their minds, they give to who they want to give to and suppress who they want to suppress? That's not how you build a country. I'm not a fan of President Buhari, but when President Buhari came to office, he categorically said that the bane of Nigeria's corruption was the judiciary. So now, President Buhari aligns very well with the corruption in Nigeria. But even when somebody as grossly corrupt as President Buhari states that the judiciary is the #1 problem in Nigeria, don't we think we need to clearly listen to that assertion, especially with the evidence that is coming out on the back of Dele Farotimi's investigation of Nigeria's judiciary? This is about what direction we want to go. The judiciary investments cannot come freely to Nigeria if you cannot trust that if you bring an investment into the country and somebody dupes you, if you cannot trust that the judiciary will be fair in their judgment and adjudication of the case. So this is not time for Nigerians to be sentimental. It's not only young Nigerians talking about corruption in Nigeria. It's not only progressive fighting corruption in Nigeria. You can't say it's the young radicals. It goes beyond that. Even the Prime Minister of Britain, the former Prime Minister of Britain, Cameron, described Nigeria without biting tongues. He said that Nigeria is a grossly, fantastically corrupt country. Yes, without mixing words, I stand by Cameron in saying that my country that I love so much is a fantastically corrupt country. But what are we going to do about it? Where does Nigeria's youth stand on this matter? Where does Nigeria's progressives stand on this matter? The reality is that if you follow what's going on, besides the defamation case that Fe Babalola has in the Ekiti courts, they've also added a cyberbullying case, so that's 2. They've added another case in Lagos. A different person totally is suing Dele Farotimi in Lagos. And another one is suing Dele Farotimi in Abuja. Does it surprise you? Isn't this the signature of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the way they operate? Does it surprise anybody that he will be pushing the buttons behind the scenes? Because he knows that when it's all said and done, this is leading to him and more charges of his corruption. So now, the challenge for Nigeria's youth and Nigeria's progressives is, how are we going to help Dele Farotimi? Dele Farotimi is set for life when it comes to being on the right side of Nigerian history. Whether they keep him for 20 days or 40 days or 1 year or 27 years like Mandela, he's on the right side of history. What side of history do we want to be on? The side of history that defended Dele Farotimi, or the side of history that talk and talk and talk and do nothing about finding freedom for our hero, for our flag bearer, Nigeria's flag bearer for peace, fairness, and justice? It is incumbent on us, as our contribution to what Dele Farotimi has started, to make sure that people we thought were heroes yesterday go to their graves, as Aisha Yesufu will say, go to their graves as zeros. Let's take them from heroes to zeros. Because in our book, in Nigeria's book of fairness, equity, and justice, these men are zeros that pretended to be heroes. If your sympathy to them is because of how much they've helped you, they helped you with your own money that they stole and they acquired unjustly and unfairly at your expense. So why are you worshiping them and thanking them for giving you what is your own in your own country? I don't know what to say, but I know that since they picked up Dele, it's been very difficult for me. I'm going to keep doing every little I can, and I urge you to join in every little way you can and bring a person along each time you start, for us to continue to fight to do what it takes to get Dele Farotimi home in peace and without any strings attached to what he can say, what he can do, and what he can publish. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Allen TV. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Tonight I think of my home, the home where I was born. I think of my family and the poor farmhouse we had. There in my home, we had no sophistication. We had no timepiece, the cockcrow and the sun, all we had. Rise early at sunup, we'd go to the farms, drive the monkeys away from the maize farms, and the birds away from the rice farms. Come back home at sundown, sometimes a little later. Women get busy on pounded yam, and we all eat together. one cares for none. Tonight I think of my home, the home where I was born. I think of my family and the poor farmhouse we had. There in my home, we had no sophistication.